Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to another episode of All Knicked Up. Yes. It is November 29th. And sorry, I had some technical difficulties, which I still might be having from the looks of things. So you guys just let me know if I am. But we're here. We're back. Coming off the Thanksgiving holiday. We stuffed ourselves. We ate too much food. I'm pretty sure everyone did. I know I did. So we have to recover, get back into the swing of things. So let me bring the guys on.
Josh to watch.
Wow, that's true, man. That was kind of a crazy comment. Watch.
Oh, it damn sure was.
So how you guys doing? We've been away for a couple weeks.
Wait, hold on. You got to show the goods. You got
I
to show.
didn't wear my shirt. My fault. I did not wear my shirt. Apologies.
Yeah. Ooh, I want to take it. That's what they said.
You needed to tell me.
Courtesy of Upstate.
Aruba.
Now we do. Upstate Joe, thank you so much. Beautiful gift.
You are very welcome, man.
I'm excited with you. Yeah, this was man, this was hitting. This usually I go to the mailbox and it's all bills. I always tell my mail person, I always say when she pulls the packages out, I said, "Is it ticking?" So if it's ticking, then you got to keep it back there. But this one wasn't ticking. This was legit. This is nice. Thanks, bro.
The street vendor I got him off of was a gentleman.
Oh man, these are nice. I'm gonna rock this. I even put on the long sleeves underneath just to rock it today. So that was, you know.
Yes. I got one too. I'm not wearing it though. Sorry. I apologize. Same shirt though.
Aaron Rodgers returning world. That's what you're wearing now.
Yeah, I'm wearing my Jets.
I almost got you an Aruba Jet one.
I probably would have been mad. But
if it were a better season, I probably would have.
He chose wisely. You chose wisely. I'll say that. You definitely did make the right choice this time because I don't care, man. I don't care that he's back. He's not going to play. People need to stop thinking he's going to play. It'd be amazing if he did, and it's not going to matter anyway. So
he'll get sacked 7 times in the first quarter because their offense is trash.
Yes, that's been the worst part. Even worse than the quarterbacks. But this is not a Jet show, so we won't talk about the New York Jets. We actually want to talk about a good team. I have to say the Knicks are a good team. They have problems. They're not a perfect team. They have limitations, but for the most part, they're a good basketball team. They beat the teams they should beat. So far, they've had trouble with the teams that are better than them or on par, I could say, and that's not uncommon. The bottom line is those teams usually have at least one superstar, and the Knicks have some all-stars, but I don't think they have a superstar. No matter what you think of Jalen Brunson, that's my opinion. So I think the Knicks are just kind of treading water, probably 4 or 5 team in the Eastern Conference in that range somewhere, unless they make a trade. And we're going to get into all that. We're going to get into all that later. But one thing that has been going on is the in-season tournament, the NBA Cup, as it's known, which I honestly didn't even know that until last night. I had no idea it was called the NBA Cup. I thought it was just an in-season tournament, and they win this nice trophy and whatever. Now, I have to say, for me personally, I wasn't invested in the idea of it. But last night's game, when they had to score a certain number of points, that did add a level of intrigue, right? Like, I thought it did for me anyway. I don't care what happens now. The tournament's set and they have to play those games. I really don't give a damn. But that part of it where they had to score a certain amount of points to make it in for point differential because of records and things of that nature, I was like, okay, keep scoring. So how did you guys approach that last night when you knew that that's what they needed? Ty, you kind of told me you don't give a crap. so Joe, so Joe, we'll go to you first because I didn't talk to you about it. So what were your feelings? Do you not give a crap too?
My interest in this is tied to the Knicks' involvement in it. I find that I'm a lot more interested than I thought I would be. And yes,
Okay.
I was, looking strategically. Yes, they're pouring it on. Yes, they want to go on. And as you know, Eric, life is all about incentives.
Mhm.
So 500 grand is a huge incentive to people, especially guys like Jericho Sims. I'm hoping they went in to get Jericho's money, get some more hair extensions or whatever he's got going on with that whole thing. But no, I've actually been pretty interested. I'm looking forward to the game on Tuesday. And I got to tell you, honestly, man, if they go through both Milwaukee and Boston on the road to get to the final, I'm going to be standing on my couch screaming at the TV. Again, the beginning of the season, there's not much interest. I don't care about the other games, but the Knicks' involvement in it does put a little additional twist on it. It is competition in a way that we usually don't see early in the season. So I'm a fan.
All right. Yeah, that's kind of was my feeling watching it last night. Like I really didn't care, and I don't really care much now. I guess it'd be cool to win a title of some sort because we haven't won one in so long.
Yeah.
Like it'd be cool if we won some kind of trophy.
We're taking these.
But Ty, we weren't. I don't think were any of us alive the last time they won.
I was born the year that they actually won.
That's
I was
true.
2
Yeah.
years old.
Every birthday, I'm reminded that hey, we're just terrible. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I mean, for me, I would want it to be incentivized a little bit more from an organizational standpoint, and I think it would give more to the fan base if the stakes were different. Like, I'm one of those people. I don't believe you should be putting a carrot in front of a donkey that's motorized. And what I mean by that is the fact that should these guys be more incentivized by giving them more money? I can get the guys at the end of the bench and perfectly understand that aspect of it. Those guys are not making nearly as much as the upper crust is making. However, they are making salaries that we will never probably see for sitting on the bench. So I'm not really feeling bad for those guys either. Even if you have a two-way contract going into, you're playing in the what is not the Gatorade League, whatever it is now. You're playing it is called the G League still.
The G League, yeah, the G League.
So I don't know if I'm crying because Jericho can't get those extensions. Like was that Sideshow Bob from from the Simpsons? Those guys still make a hell of a lot of money to play a sport. The way I look at it, and as you see with the name, I don't know if our names disappear, whatever, but my name is Josh Hart's watch. Because that's literally that literally. Yep, there we go. Josh Hart's watch. This all stems from him bringing it home to what pissed me off about what we win, which is we don't win anything as a fan base other than we cheer for these hopefully that they give the effort that they should give every night. But he brought it home and was like, well, that's another watch for me. And I'm like, well, damn, dude. Can you just shut that up?
Yeah.
You're basically walking around with someone's house on your wrist.
He's been talking a lot lately.
Several houses on your wrist, and you say, oh, well, it'll be another watch, which he has every right to say. I'm not making it like he should shut up. Like, how dare you? I just thought it brought it home as to what this really does mean to some of these players that it really doesn't matter. It's just an extra, wad in their pocket. Doesn't affect anything long term as far as winning. It's like, it's just another candle on top of a cake that has 101 candles. It's like, are you really going to notice it that much? I've always been a person that believes that there's got to be more on the line for this. I think the All-Star game is still another thing that needs to have something with better incentives, because what we're seeing is that it's just basically a money grab for the NBA and for us as fans to go and watch more, maybe buy more merchandise, to be enamored with the floors and all, et cetera. I mean, put a draft pick up. How about that? Or automatically get into the playoffs. Like you guarantee nothing lower than the 6th seed, something like that. I think those things would give the fans a reason to cheer, like, oh, we're going to get the 15th pick. You don't got to be the top 5. But into the lottery pick, you think the Knicks fans wouldn't want the 15th pick? If that was up for grabs, like, oh, we can get the 15th pick, something like that will incentivize, or it would incentivize maybe even a team that's been winning, because then now you have an extra asset that you can now throw in a trade somewhere. So,
is the draft pick going to incentivize players more than money?
Do I think so? No, I don't think so. I don't think these guys are incentivized by much. I don't even think winning matters as much as it used to. I think what it is that these guys collect their checks. And unless you're in a market like New York, that is like, we know what you owe, what we're paying you, and we're demanding. When you see guys, that's why they run from New York more so. If you was about the pressure, it's the pressure of knowing that we will not settle for your less than great effort every night. Yeah. That you can't go kick it in the club, and then unless you're Dennis Rodman, who was a freak about hanging out and still coming in and blowing people off the court running. If you're not that kind of person, look at Julius Randle, 25 and 10 and 10, and still, yet people still said last night, after having that kind of number, when can we trade him? So that's what New York is about. They're not. This doesn't, kick our tires as far as that. I think we put the pressure on that these guys got to play that way, and that you should be giving that effort night in and night out. But most of them are driven by the dollars, But $500,000 to me, I mean, like, they wanted to pay people to get into the dunk contest. Imagine that. They felt like they had to put a purse of $1 million up to do something that probably gave Michael Jordan all of his glory before winning anything, was those dunks, the commercials and everything else. He became an icon literally from dunking the ball and being a high flyer, and he didn't have $1 million tag put on it. If you win, you're going to win a purse of $1 million. So I don't know. I think it's kind of silly to think that $500,000 is making these guys play tougher when Josh Hart just basically said, another watch. And I think a lot of them feel that way. It's another damn watch.
It's fair. Steve brings up a good point. I've thought about this a lot in the past as well. Is the 16-team playoff a little too much? That's a fair point.
Point.
I think obviously the NBA is not going to change it because it gives other teams a chance and an opportunity, right? And money, more games, all of that. But yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you're saying, Ty. It's very much it's a money grab for the NBA. It's another way for them to make money. And the players, like I said, I feel good for the players, like Joe brought up. I feel good for the players at the end of the bench who aren't making the big time dollars, who aren't making tons of money, that they get the same amount as everybody else. I think that's very cool that they do that. And if I was one of the guys making the big money, I would take that money and pull it together for the rest of them too. Like, I'd still give them that part of my, my winnings, because, they don't have that opportunity. And some of them will never have that opportunity. Like, some of them are always going to be end of bench guys, never going to get a chance to actually play, let alone make that kind of money. So it's definitely something that I think it's definitely something that the NBA is trying to address in a way by saying, hey, now look, we have an incentive for them to get it, and the teammates should want to do it. It's going to build camaraderie. And I can see that thought process behind it. But I also just think it's just weird to do it during when the season is going on, and you have these games matters in the standings as well.
Yeah.
And you're saying, okay, you're giving them this other thing that they're playing for. It's been a weird setup from the beginning, and I don't know. I don't care about it. Like I said, I don't care from this point, but that was kind of that did get me intrigued though last night when they kept trying to score points for the point differential. That was a different take. So if that's what they wanted, they succeeded with me in that. But other than that, it hasn't done much. So
I get a question. So I've read articles on this and I still don't understand it completely. I guess it's one of those things. So it kind of sort of has to happen at the very beginning of the season also, because don't these games, depending on who they're playing, replace games that are further down on the schedule so that 82 games wind up being 82 games? Is that correct?
No, it gives only one team plays more than one game for the whole. So two teams are basically playing 82 games.
All right, so
But the rest of them are just regular schedule.
This is my point then. Okay, so let's say in the knockout round, we get, Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
Does that replace a game that we have with Milwaukee later on in the schedule to make up the 82 in the knockout round?
No, I don't believe so.
Because then the knockout round becomes 83 and 84 and potentially 85 games if they go all the way. Isn't that the case?
No. From what I understand, every team, only two teams play 83 games. Only the two teams that's left. Every other team is playing 82 games. So it's basically it's still like a scheduled game. It's just.
But you don't know who you're playing in the knockout round, though. So what happens in that game? You don't know who you're playing in the knockout round. So if you're still having 82 games, it's impossible to schedule that game. So does that have to come at the expense of a game that you have scheduled with that team later?
I don't know, because what they said last night, because even Thibodeau, as I was laughing when you said, can you explain it? Well, nobody really knows, really knows, because Thibodeau had to actually call in someone from the Knicks to explain to the team that they weren't going to Vegas after last night.
Because
they had to break it back down again. It's way confusing. I agree with you on that completely.
But as soon as they get out of group play, that's an extra game. There's no way that they can account for that knockout round game and the knockout game that follows, let alone the final. They can't account for that in their scheduling. If they're
Alan Hodge said something today. Yeah. Alan Hodge said something today about having to make up other teams having to make up games, but I don't know what that meant, because he said they would have to make up games. So are they adding games to the schedule for those other teams? Is that what it is?
I think those extra games, if teams are competing there, I think they wind up getting accounted for later on in the schedule, which is one of the reasons why it has to be done early. I think that there's something to that.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, that does make sense.
I don't claim to understand this. That's what it is.
But from what I knew, the rule was that you only end up still playing 82. Whether or not the schedule, I don't know how they figured out who plays who, if you beat who. I think it's just a working thing, because that's one of the things they questioned about after the Knicks won last night. They was like, well, when do the Knicks play the next time? There's still the schedule became flexible because you never knew who you might be playing. I'm only sure it's more well thought out than it's been explained, because the explanation and everything has just been utterly mind-blowingly confusing, because it has changed. Like Eric's saying now, I didn't even know it was called the NBA Cup. Well, probably nobody else did either up until last night what it was called, and all the intricacies. I think it's a moving thing that has been not laid out properly to the fan understanding, making it more late. I think it's part of the issue.
But again, any elimination games, if it stays 82 games, that's going to have to come to the expense of something else that's scheduled.
I would think so. You would think so, but it's very confusing.
It is.
I have no definitive answer. I just know what I heard when it first started, and after that, I've kind of I don't really care about it that much to begin with, but I kind of shut out. Eric knows last night I was like, can they please stop talking about this damn thing, because I don't want to hear no more about it. I'm like, I could care less as a basketball person who's used to not to get off my lawn kind of thing, but it's just too confusing and too unnecessary for me.
Okay, I'm gonna read the excerpt of what exactly everything, how this is all gonna play out. So it says the winners of each of the quarterfinal games will advance to the semifinals on December 7th at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, with the Eastern Conference team squaring off at 5 p.m. followed by Western Conference team playing at 9. The tournament's championship game, with the winner getting to lift the NBA Cup for the first time and earning $500,000 for every player on its roster, will take place at 8:30 p.m. on December 9th. In a twist, each of the 4 quarterfinals features a matchup that was already on the schedule 4 times this season, meaning all those matchups will now be played 5 times, one more than teams typically can play in any given campaign. The 22 teams that did not advance will play one home game and one road game on December 6th and December 8th, while the teams that lose in the quarterfinals will play each other on December 8th. So that's kind of how they're getting past it. Each team is going to play 2 more games, one home and one road game, and that's going to be how everything's remaining the same. That's how I understand.
So
I'm still more confused, but go on.
yeah, so a team could potentially have 3 more games.
Yes.
So did we suddenly go to an 85 game season? If everybody else
the question I have is now, because they said the games during the round robin, the knockout stage, this stage all counted. Do the games played in Vegas not count?
That's a good question.
To the schedule, that's the only question I have.
Yeah, because they only mentioned 2 games. That would mean the final didn't count.
Right. The final doesn't. That I know. I know the final does not count.
It's an 84 game season.
Yeah. You're basically playing the quarterfinal game and the semifinal games count to the year schedule, on the year schedule.
And those that didn't wind up in there are going to make that up in extra games on the schedule.
Yes. 1 home, 1 away. Yes. That's how it works.
It's ridiculous.
I feel
apparently, and they're already promoting how those makeup games are going to be great matchups. You have the Timberwolves versus the Spurs. You have the Nuggets against the Clippers. You have all these fantastic matchups, guys. So it's working. It's working for everybody involved.
It's just to me,
the Silver Puppet Show.
Yeah, it is.
They're trying to do what soccer does, right? They're trying how soccer puts all their international stuff in the season where the players are actually playing, and that's what they're trying to do here. This would be like the Copa America that we have and the Nations League that CONCACAF has in soccer. That's kind of what they're trying to do. And maybe that's what appeal more to the international audience, even though the NBA is a pretty respected league overseas. But there are some countries, like I have friends in England who don't care about basketball. They don't get to watch it. They don't care that it's on. So there are some countries that maybe they're doing this for to try and draw interest. I don't know. I have no idea. It's weird. We said it from the beginning. Someone needs to explain it. If I need a book, a law book to understand what's going on and how to figure it out, it's not worth it. I don't know.
I thought that initially they were trying, and maybe it is still, to incentivize these guys to, they're trying to push for guys to play max amount of games they can play. I thought that they were also looking to incentivize these guys, and I hate to use this way of saying it, but to make them play, want to play, or have to play, or feel inspired to play. That's what it early on looks like. Like oh, now maybe we do this. Maybe guys will be more interested in competing. And that to me is where this is such a failure on the NBA's part, if that is the case, because I don't like they're pushing these narratives. Like Tom Thibodeau looked like he was in the firing range and like he had all the guns on him when they asked him what he really thought about it. He's like reading off the cuff. This is very good for the NBA. Buy a damn bit of that. There's nobody. I was like, Tom, you the lyingest damn dude I know, because you don't care about this, because this isn't. You just want to win every game, no matter what. And he probably is like, what a joke this is, because I want my guys to win every damn game and treat every game like the playoffs, no matter what game. If it's game 1 or game 82, he wants them to play like it's a playoff team. He keeps his starters in. He's vested in winning. That's the one thing you can say about Thibodeau. He's vested in winning.
That's true. He is.
We never will question what he's about, whether or not how he goes about doing it has been up for debate. But however, he read that cue card and all that. You could see like everybody's in on pushing this narrative, which I understand. It's their job. It's a product that they're selling. But this has been the most confusing, meaningless thing that the NBA's done. I mean, I don't know. It's like it ranks right up there with the gimmick they put the skills challenge in the All-Star game. It's it's like the whack rappers that they put on before the all that stuff they put down in the All-Star game. This is a whack rapper as far as I'm damn concerned, because nobody cares about all this. The Lakers got the
third base
out of everyone, mind you, in this tournament. They got the come on.
They just lost by 44 too. Like what are we doing?
Yeah, so they have the easiest schedule, but they got mud hole stomped, and walked dry for 44 points by Philly, and you're bringing these dudes to Vegas because LeBron is still the draw in the NBA. Unfortunately, people still want to. They build their whole product around him still, which is really sad when you think about that. They don't have no up and coming person to build around other than Jokic.
Yeah.
Jokic don't want it, so he's not gonna do it. He don't care about that.
I don't think it's talent, it's charisma, right? That's the thing that these new guys are lacking. There's no one who has the charisma and the one guy who does, it's probably God, Doncic. Doncic probably has like the charisma to do it, but he doesn't speak great English. Like they're thinking about all these other things involved in this because it's still an American thing. So Doncic could be the one out there and having fun and playing with flair and all that. But the fact that he did in interviews, like he dropped an F-bomb a couple weeks ago. I remember I was watching the show. He dropped an F-bomb. I mean, like to me, that's So I don't know. I can't wait till it's over, to be honest. We get back to the regular, normal craziness of basketball. But let's get into a few things. I want to talk first about a guy that we all had kind of high hopes for this season, and he really hasn't taken that step or even tried to grasp the moment, I guess is the best way to put it. And I really don't know where to go with him from here. Like I think, Ty, we talked about this, and I said I think he's a product of just being in this system, and they don't call plays for him. They don't really call plays for anybody, but they don't call plays for him. And he's not the type of guy who's going to just take the ball and be aggressive with it. Like that's just not the type of player he is. At least in the starting lineup. Maybe if they move him to the bench, because I think we had that discussion as well, he might fare better there. But I just don't see how he fits in this team right now. And I mean, when Dante started, he played great. Like he was fine as a starter when RJ was out for those few games. So, is it that he's young, or like I said, they tell him I said this the other day too. They tell him you play defense and take 3-point shots, and then that's all he does. He doesn't try and do anything else. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but I'm getting Obi vibes. Like we're getting Obi Toppin vibes here, and I don't know what to say about him. I think he's a talented guy. We know his history. He was one of the top high school prospects coming into college. Struggled a little at Kansas, went to Houston and really flourished there. That's what got him drafted. So we know the talent is there. We've seen it in summer league. He's been able to dominate some summer league games and play really well. I don't know what it is when he's playing with these other guys. Maybe it's just that it's one basketball and someone has to be frozen out. I have no idea. Joe, what do you think about what you've seen from Grimes, and do you think it's fixable?
You're right, man. The system isn't friendly to the shooting guard. Anytime that they're going down, dump him in the left corner, pass it out to him. I mean, this offense has never gone through the shooting guard, and considering it's a wing league, it's always been curious to me. Now, we've never had premier wing talent either, but still. But on the other side of the coin, I'm kind of at the point where I'm tired of blaming the system for this. He has to be accountable for this. He is just not being assertive and getting his. He's just not being assertive in getting his. He looks too quick to rotate the pass around. The kid's got a great first step. He looks to distribute even off of that first step. He doesn't look to go to the basket initially. He looks to distribute off the first step, at least from what I've seen. You know, he's shooting out of rhythm all the time because he shoots very, very infrequently. You know, this is one of the things that Josh Hart was talking about recently about his role. I don't know. At some point, it's got to come back on him. You got to go and get yours, man. I mean, you have a lot of established players on this team. If you want to make a name for yourself, if you want to impact the game in a positive way, if you want to show that you're more than just a prescribed defender and occasional three-point shooter, you want to display your game, you got to go and get yours. I'm sorry, this is on him. It really is. And that's harder to fix than just scheming him into it. Because you're dealing with what's in between here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I've always been a fan of the kid. You know, me and Ty have talked extensively about him. I like the skill set. I like the attitude on the kid. And I think he has the potential to be a much better percentage three-point shooter with more repetition and to kind of keep the kid in flow, but he's got to go out and get it. I'm sorry. I mean, the offense is going to be what the offense is going to be, and we should say they should use it differently, but that's not reality. This is Tibbs' offense. This is what he runs. That's going to be his role in it. If he's going to change and be more impactful, it's got to be him going and getting after it. That's my take.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of been where I'm at too. Like I think he's not selfish enough. He needs to be a little more selfish in getting his own offense. And Ty, we've talked about this off camera. We've had these discussions about Grimes because both of us were we liked what we've seen from him when he has been aggressive and when he has shown a little bit of some motivation to do something with the ball. So what do you think what do you think they should do? Do you think he's a trade piece now? Do you think he's moved past the point that he's no longer in their plans, that he's a trade guy? The coach seems to like him in the role that he's in. Do you think they'd move him to the bench? Because Dante, like you said, Dante played well when he started. So you think that's something they'd consider?
Well, let me just go back a little bit, and then I'm going to address that part. I think the thing that happened with Grimes also, and we may be a little bit all to blame a little bit when thinking about his game. The Knicks need a sniper at the two guard. They need a sniper. They need someone who's a flat-out knockdown three-point shooter.
Yeah.
Grimes is not that. And that's where the struggle we're starting to see with that is that we're waiting for him to be more Ray Allen-like. That guy that, when I dump it, he's lights out. And what we found is that he's not lights out. Mm-hmm. What we find out that his light might be out, and the cop pulled him over on the side, said, you got a rear, something broken in the back, and you're in trouble, dude. That's really what we're dealing with is we're watching Grimes' game evolve, but not in the way that we pictured. Because I think a lot of people see him as the Allen Houston. You see the, strong built dude, great fundamentals, his footwork is there, and you're going, he's going to be the answer at the two guard to be a sniper when that ball's handed out. And what we're seeing is that he's not. So I think probably a little bit of what we've identified him as or wanting him to be is not his true identity. His true identity is that he probably does need a lot of shots to get going or get into rhythm. He's probably more of a rhythm shooter than he's just a knockdown shooter. So that's what you're seeing with him. And you got two guys or three guys, then they're not passers like that. Julius may lead the team in assists, but we know those assists are not a product of him making guys better. It's more like, here's the ball.
He got into trouble and kicked it out.
Yeah, you're bailing him out when you do have an assist from him. It's not so much as that he came down and was thinking the game, like, I know the double's coming. Dude, be ready. You don't know where the hell that ball's going. So we're looking at Grimes as wanting him to be a sniper And he's just a volume shooter. He's more of a all-around ball player. He's a scorer. He could score. So with that being said, he's not the ideal fit next to these guys that are playing because they're very ISO heavy. And once again, you are bailing them out when they get kind of caught in the paint or have to give up their dribble. Now you're expecting this guy to come off of a curl because he went with JJ Redick during the summer, and you're thinking he's going to be like, nah, he's JJ's little brother, AA. He's not JJ. He's not that type of shooter. So we're looking at that. He's going to not fit well with these guys. The reason Emmanuel Quickly can come in there and fit well because he's lit from the beginning. He gets in and he's going to shoot. He's just going to shoot. He doesn't give a damn who's got the ball. He's like, I got the ball. So he's not deferring.
Yeah,
he's more of a deferring type player. He's a system player. He's one of those. He's a coach's dream. One of those guys. He's going to do everything the coach asks him to do. Go out here and give me 10 minutes guarding everybody. Their best player. Don't be demanding. He's all that. All of the dreams that you want in a player. He's going to do exactly what you ask him to do. That's not enough for this team because this team needs someone that can relieve the pressure when these guys get in trouble. And he can't bail them out. A guy like Dante possibly can because he's going to want to. He's just a better basketball player right now. He's been in the league long enough. He's just a better basketball player. And he's going to be mindful enough to say, I'm going to take this shot. I'm not worried whether Julius is going to be mad. Or what the coach is going to say, I'm going to make a good decision with the ball when I get it. And we've seen pockets where Grimes can pass the ball, and you're like, oh, man, you do more of that. If they run you off the three, you go into the paint, at least either finish at the rim or find an open man because you're going to collapse the defense. We don't see him doing that enough. So we're waiting for him to say, well, Grimes was 0 for 5 from three-point range. He's not a sniper. He's not a sniper. I think what is now coming down to the point you've got to start wondering, do you let his value continue to sink in the starting lineup? Because this is your prize guy. When you hear about the rumors of them moving players for, Donovan Mitchell, we all heard it. Everybody but Grimes, we're not putting him in nothing. That's what you heard, the rumors. He's that valued by the Knicks. We've heard that Jerry West said that he's better than R.J. Barrett. We've heard all these things about Grimes, and we're waiting for that. And I think he looks like the 23rd, 24th pick that he is. That's all it comes down to. The expectations, because we see the potential in what he could do, but you do slide to the 25th. I mean, unless you're Jokic, who's an anomaly. Usually where you're drafted is who you are. It's not like it's some crazy thing. You get some of those guys towards the end of the lottery or second rounders that, pan out and become stars. But he's a decent bench player. That's what he is. There's nothing wrong with that. I just think they probably have to now make decisions because you just paid Dante. Are you going to pay Grimes and Hart? You already paid Hart. You paid Grimes. You paid Dante. So we got a lot of what we talked about at the beginning of the season. You got repetition at certain positions, undersized guards who really do the same thing. So if it's me, you got to move somebody. You already signed the other two. You can't move those. So you want to probably try to re-sign quickly. I guess that's somewhat in their plans. I would think now, when looking at how he's playing, they probably feel pressured to do something with him. But Grimes is the odd man out. Somebody's got to be the odd man out. And much like Eric said, he's Obi, in my opinion. You see the potential and you see what you believe is good core fundamentals. But it's like you're in a starting lineup and you've been in a disappearing act for the whole season. Have we seen him? I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to recall the games. I don't recall a game that he had a game like, oh man, Grimes. I don't think we've said that all year so far.
No.
I think he's had one game where he might have hit 5 threes, maybe 4 or 5. That was probably his best game, though. I think I recall it recently because I remember looking at the box score and I was like, oh, but that's the thing. I had to look at the box score. I didn't even recognize it during the game that it was him that was hitting those shots. It just turned out that, he did. It's interesting because, like you said, they made the decision not to include him in trades. And they are getting nothing to show for it. Now, I do think, because we've seen this before, I do think the coach has something to do with that, because I do think that Thibodeau, like I said, he gives guys
defensively.
Yeah, and he gives guys roles, and he says, that's your role. That's what I want you to do, and that's all you need to do, and to worry about anything else. That's what we want from you. And I think to play for him and get playing time, if someone hears that, they're just going to do what he says, and they're not going to try and change anything, because that's what the coach expects of me. So it would take injuries probably to a lot of guys for him to get the opportunity for them to say, hey, we need you to try and score now. Go do it, for us to actually see if he could. But yeah, I agree with you guys. I like him. I like his skill set. I think he has an NBA skill set on all three levels. Like, I think he got all three level skills. He can shoot. I think he can shoot in the mid range. I've seen him drive before effectively. So I think he has those skills, but I don't know if he's going to be able to show them here. One guy who has shown his skills, though, and since he's got here, is Jalen Brunson. He has been more than we thought last year, and this year he's kind of added another element, which is he was a good three-point shooter last year, and now he's risen to be one of the better ones in the league. And I think, Ty, we've talked about this as well, that's only going to help him when he does need to drive, because now you can't lay off him anywhere. You have to stay on him wherever he is on the floor. And I think, we're seeing development and growth from him, even though he's 26, 27. You're still seeing him grow, work on his game, and get better at things, and work on deficiencies that he has. So I posed this question. I said this the other day, and I was talking to the guys in the group chat, and I said, I do think that he's having an MVP caliber season. Now, I'm looking at it from a Knicks point of view, right? Because Julius struggled in the beginning, and he was kind of keeping them, him and RJ, and then RJ went out. And he was kind of carrying them for a little bit on his own. Now Julius is finally starting to play a little bit better, so I think maybe things are starting to come together. But when you look around, I'm going to put it this way. When you look around at all the big name guys who are perennial MVP candidates, could you see the Knicks, if they win, Joe, I think you said 50 games? So if they win 50, do you think he would be in the discussion for MVP? Joe, go ahead.
No.
No?
No. I think he's an outstanding player, but I think that those conversations are reserved to the top 3 or 4 players in the league, and I don't see him in that strata. I think he's an outstanding player. I think he's our MVP. I think that he is probably one of the top 15 players in the game right now. But he's closer to 15 than he is in the top 3. So again, I don't see him being that type of player or getting that kind of recognition. I see him becoming an all-star. I don't see him making an all-NBA team with a lot of the point guards that are out there, unfortunately. But I think he is an all-star, and I think he is our MVP, and I think he is our best player. But you start to name some of the people that are at the top of that list, like, is he comparable to what Jason Tatum is? No. I don't think so. Or, Jokic.
Well, not Jokic.
Yeah, I don't know that he's there. But again, you put emotion in that from a fandom perspective, and you see what he's doing and what he means to you and what he means to you as a fan with this team. And I think in New York thinks he's an MVP candidate. But I don't think outside of New York people see him that way. They see him as a great player. Just my take.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen. I mean, Steve Nash was a fantastic player, and he definitely was the engine of those Suns teams. But at both times he won the MVP award, people were looking at him like, is he really the best player in the league? Is he really the most?
I didn't think so. We went back to back.
And so that's what I'm saying. Like, because Phoenix was so good, and he was the main reason why they were so good, it kind of elevated his stature. And I think he got one of the reasons why he got the award. If the Knicks exceeded expectations and he was their best player, do you think that, I'm not saying he would win, but would you think it would vault him into the conversation? Ty, your turn.
I think it's so funny when I'm thinking about it. You was talking about with Steve Nash, and I'm thinking Brunson reminds me a little bit of Steve, how he goes about scoring and getting into the paint and his herky jerky, and like he really thinks the game out offensively and all that stuff to get his shots. You know what? The one thing I think why Brunson won't be mentioned is because of the Knicks, not the whole thing about being in the New York Knicks. Has whatever. We played one of the ugliest damn games on the planet, and
That's
ugly.
fair.
And ugly comes at a price.
Caveman basketball.
Yeah, ugly comes at a price. Everybody enjoyed the Planet of the Apes, but the apes is just taking over. Apes won't cute. You can't do it. We're looking at what we're looking at is in New York. It's hard to watch this crap. So keep it a buck. I love this orange stuff. Don't get me wrong, but man, there are games that I watch, and the beauty of the games is Jalen Brunson's heroic. There you go. It's Jalen Brunson's brilliance that beautifies the Knicks, because you're watching him and like, look at the heroics of this little dude that comes out of nowhere, and he's like got a really nice looking game. His footwork, but it's an old man's game.
It is.
So we're not seeing a 7-second or less Steve Nash, because that fueled what made him he was the shiny rims. He was the Spreewells on that car in Phoenix. They were spinning. You're watching them. They're going on fast breaks. They're finishing. They're running up the score, et cetera, et cetera. It was a beautiful brand of basketball. We go back to Jokic, the Nuggets, a beautiful brand of basketball where it's shared, and you like all these components moving. Embiid, kind of a grungy game. He's a big dude. Probably got a little bit more of the votes because people felt like due to injuries at points, he may have been on the same competitive level as Jokic was when he won those other ones. So they're like, all right, it's his turn. He became more of his turn. Giannis, he's like, people like watching him run up and down the court, although I think he travels every time he touches the damn ball. But, it's spectacular for people. When you look at the flash of the game, usually MVPs, and I think it's going to be even a little bit of a struggle. I think Boston's going to have to outwin and beat every team, like to have the best record for Tatum to get even his, because he doesn't have that kind of game that you go, man, you're going to go watch Jason Tatum when he's working the ball. He's a linky dude that can score. He's a bucket getter, Not taking away from the Celtics. I'm just saying that it's usually a player or a style or a system that you want to go watch and you're enamored with watching. Most of the time, Jalen Brunson's spending time bailing out APP. I told you I'm not using his name no more. APP. He's bailing out what he's done. What he's done and mucked up the game, or what his coaches mucked up without, I don't think Brunson can be in the conversation because of the system that we play in, if it is one. The game tells you what you're supposed to do. That you can't market that. Like Jalen Brunson, what's Jalen Brunson? The one that tells you what to do? Because how can you get behind that as a fan base, even our own fans, let alone making a nationwide thing someone gets behind, where naturally they go, man, you see the brilliance that Jalen Brunson is doing when he's running the Knicks, how fluid that offense is and how beautiful it is, and they're finishing, they're running up, their defense. You look at Phoenix. Phoenix is a nice team to watch. They got three. I don't think it's the greatest brand of basketball, but Devin Booker makes the game look pretty because now you have spacing, you have shooters. That to me is why Jalen Brunson, no matter how great he is, if he's playing with APB and he's playing with Thibs right there, the Penguin, if he's playing with either one of those guys as the decision makers, you're not gonna give him that MVP.
Do you think
even if he had the best record, they're not gonna give it to him? I guarantee you, they find some reason to go, nah. The guy, they'll probably give it to. We were talking about Halliburton earlier. Halliburton would win it over Brunson, even if we had the better record, because they would like the mechanics of what Indiana is running. We got an ugly damn game. This is the bottom line. Do
you think he belongs in the conversation?
Oh, I think if If he's the MVP on your team and your team is one of the top 4 teams in the league in your conference,
as presently constructed, what you've seen
he's
from
not right now.
us
No,
along.
reason being because our record doesn't reflect it. If we were in that top 4, I would say hands down he should be in the conversation. Although I wouldn't think he would win because you have your team playing amongst the trees. I think that's where we are now. We're watching. If he gets to that point, yeah. But I mean, he did get recognized as Player of the Week a couple weeks ago. He's Player of the Week. So the league recognizes what he's doing as an individual. I just think that the team success, if we were at 4, I think someone's going to give him votes. But nationally, they're not going. They ain't going. No, this thing is ugly.
Yeah, I mean, Melo in the 2013 season, Melo was a candidate, and I think he finished 4th or 3rd. Ewing was a candidate a few times way back when, and finished. I think he finished 3rd one, 4th another year. So those are the last 2 guys I recall being. But it was similar, Ty. Like it was a similar line of thinking with Melo. Like the Knicks won 54 games, right? So that's why he was in the conversation. And Melo has had a beautiful offensive game. Like it was fun to watch him. He had a lot of different moves. Yeah. And obviously a bigger star as well. He was he won a national title in college, so people knew him a little bit more. But I mean, the only reason I think of it was because of he plays in New York. The Knicks have been struggling for a long time. If they win 50, that'll be the first time since that 54 win team that they won 50. So it's 10 years. And he clearly is the reason why. Like I never, even when Randall the past few years, and everyone's like MVP, I was like, no way, this guy, I don't see it. As good as he was, and numbers wise, yes, you could put him up. He was pretty much a 23, 10 and 5 guy, and there's not many guys who do that in the NBA. Yeah. But I never thought they would give it to him because of what you just said. Like he has a really hard game to watch. It's very hard to watch him play basketball because everything seems like a struggle. Everything seems like a struggle for him. Even when he's playing well, seems like a struggle.
It's very true.
So it was just an interesting conversation. I mean, I know it's early. It's not even December yet. And I brought it up, but people do this. They bring up MVP conversations, and I just figured I'd throw it out there. All right, so let's get into the fun stuff that we always love to talk about. We got trade rumors. They're coming down. Tis the season for trade rumors.
Look at all those rumors. Yeah, that's we go.
Always fun. Always interesting trade rumors. I'll put it that way. So I put 2 names up there. One we heard about. One was actually talked about. Apparently, Bogdanovich is available, I guess. Now, yeah, he's 34 years old. He makes 20 something, right? 20 million?
Yeah, something like that.
And the problem for me is, again, we keep hearing with these guys, these older guys, they keep hearing 1st round pick thrown in there. It's going to, I mean, I'm sorry. You have to be a better 34-year-old for me to give you the 1st round picks. Like, you have to be one of the top players for me to give up 1 1st round pick. They're talking 2 and a player for this guy.
Man. That was what they were talking about last year. He's a year older down the line.
No, just last week.
I thought that they turned down 2 first rounds last year from a playoff team.
They did. Mm-hmm. Yes, they did. That was something they turned out last year. Yes, but that means I don't think it's going to be that much less though. That he's still playing fantastic. So that's what they're going to say. Like he's still playing great ball. So they're still going to want to maximize that asset. I don't know. I wouldn't do it. That's me. I would.
If we could get away with giving Detroit their own pick back and Ev and bringing him back, I would do it in a heartbeat. And granted, if there is a Knicks championship timeline, he does not fit that at all. But I'm always very conscious about the image of the franchise and how important winning is, considering what a friggin' disaster we've been for the last 20 years. the optics of winning, I think, are very important for this franchise and will pay dividends down the line. If we could give Detroit their own pick back, yeah, do it. I think he could play backup 4 as kind of a small 4. He's about 6'7", 225. He's kind of sturdy. He is actually a pretty good defender.
He is actually.
And he can kind of stroke it. I could see him slipping into this team and helping us. And I mean, the way Detroit's looking, we're not going to see that pick anytime soon. I'm shocked at what Detroit is doing.
I know. I'm with you there. All right. So Ty, the hypothetical that was posed was Fournier, Miles McBride, and the 2024 first round pick. And the hypothetical didn't say it was their pick or our pick. It just says a 2024 first round pick.
I thought someone said it was our own 2024 pick.
Yeah, I think that's how I'm reading this rumor. Is that it was our own first round pick. Now Fournier obviously would be a whatever.
That's a watch. Yeah.
Right. But again, it's the age thing for me. What about you? It's the age thing. That's it.
For me, I'm going, and Joe's right in a lot of ways in this sense. We're not seeing that pick. You know, I've been waving the flag like the Knicks picks with these incentives that are restricted are not as valuable as people made them out to be. Like, oh, we got 900 picks. Yeah, but you know they're like protected 1 to 25, so you're like really not getting anybody. So this isn't like the worst attachment of a pick if it's theirs. If it's ours, no go. I think that's just, we can't keep giving out our own first round picks to get off of contracts in the hopes that you're getting in a player, because he is 34. So what is so you're not trying to, what I wouldn't believe is to do any kind of long term with him. So you're doing a rental probably at this point. So you're giving up McBride. Not the worst loss. I mean, Deuce deserves to go somewhere and be able to play. In my opinion, you know, he's going to be buried. He's not going to play here. I mean, he's going to be really situational when he does. You're giving up a guy you're not using in Ev. I think McBride should be the pick incentive. Like you're trading McBride with Fournier for a guy that you don't want on your roster also. And he's 34. I think you give up.
Doesn't need another point guard, though. I mean.
But you know what they need? They need character guys, though. They need tough-minded. I mean, I think he would be a Monty Williams kind of player. McBride would be, because they got to solidify. You got Jaden Ivey there who's mad. I don't know if you knew that, rumor. He's been pissed. He's the one. He got benched, actually. He's sitting on the bench. And, you know, Monty Williams is a very good coach. I like Monty Williams. So I'm more than sure there's a lot of layers to what's going on in Detroit. He's probably going to want some character guys in there to come in and say, hey, this is how we're going to run it, and give him kind of work ethic or whatever he wants to get established there. He has to be a player you're bringing in, hoping that he gets you to the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't think you bring him in because you need a backup 4, because you're giving up something, not Ev, but if you're giving up that pick, you must have a plan to believe that this guy can be a difference maker when you're meeting the Miamis and the Milwaukee's in a second round, and he can be the difference maker to get you into the Eastern Conference Finals against either Philly or Boston, because you need to get over that hump. Because I can't see them saying, I'm bringing a 34-year-old and give him a 2-year contract, and he's just coming off an injury. That makes little to no sense from a perspective of long term. Why would you even do that? And then you have to pay quickly at some point if you plan on keeping Emmanuel quickly. So I don't know. I mean, I like him. I know him as a player. I think he would do fine here, but not to give up picks. And I agree. I think that pick will not whatever. But I'm not giving him the pick, McBride, and Evans a watch. We know he ain't going to play here no more. So it's just, I don't like giving out these first-round picks, especially if it's ours.
Yeah.
If maybe there,
ours is a non-starter.
What's that?
Ours is a non-starter, but Detroit's giving them back their own pick.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing. It's not the worst. It's not the worst.
I think he would make an impact. I think considerably.
He would.
That guy could.
I agree.
I get what. I
He'd
get what.
fit in defensively. He could play multiple positions. I think he could be one of those pieces that can not have us compete for a championship. Let's be honest. But
Yeah.
make noise, definitely. Definitely, I think he can help us make noise.
That, to me,
Yeah, I mean, I think
Mhm.
like you're right. We probably won't win a championship, but I think he puts them into the conversation of a top four team that's now dangerous
Yeah.
and could steal a series against one of the top three teams, right?
Mhm.
That's because the Knicks, what the Knicks lack right now is a little bit of offense, especially consistent outside shooters, and that's what he does.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I think from that perspective, they become a more dangerous team adding him. But again, it's just that his age really bothers me, and I think is this his contract year?
I don't know. I was
This is
going to ask you that. Is this even his final? This is his final year.
He signed for 2 years. I think this is the last year of his contract.
I
So
think
he's-
you're right.
I
Well,
think he
he's-
signed 2 for 40 last year at the beginning of last season.
So then
Yes,
this
I'm going to look that up.
if he's expiring,
I'm
then
looking.
that's even more reason. I'm not overly compensating Detroit for someone you're going to lose. That's part of business. Like the price of business is that you should not be sitting there sending out. I mean, we know we want Ev's a wash. We know he's not going to play here. So you're swapping contracts, literally. And he's also got a player option. So Detroit's going to clear their books as well. So you're basically swapping contracts. And Detroit might want some incentives. Like I said, give them back their own pick, fine. But you got to be careful not to overly give them too much also because, he's still 34 damn years old. I mean, how long? I mean, one injury, we all know we're older now. You do one bad cough and you might be
Come
maybe
April, he'll be 35.
literally.
Come April, he'll be 35 at the end of the season.
Yeah.
He's got a partial guarantee for 2025. So, and it's only a $2 million guarantee. So essentially you could cut him and it wouldn't be that big a deal if they didn't want to keep him. So yeah, technically this is his last, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's next year is the final year, and that'd be fine playing with him. Like Joe just said, I think you'd be fine with him next year. Again, it would give you some kind of insurance if they decide not to pay Emmanuel quickly, who, let's be honest, his asking price is just getting higher right now. He's playing fantastic basketball. And hey, I mean, you bet on yourself. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. He right now, anyway, it's still early in the season and there's a lot of basketball left to be played. But he's really, really upped his value. And that's good for the Knicks in a way that if they don't want to pay him, they'll get more. They probably can get more for him just because he's a better player than he was, even though I know teams would be like, well, he's not staying with you guys anyway. But still, it'd be like, yeah, but he's a certain level player now. So, you got to compensate for that. But yeah, there's plenty of teams apparently monitoring the situation with him and are interested in possibly acquiring him. Now, that's another thing I want to bring up because I mean, I was not for giving him that money, but I don't know if they have a choice, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to have a choice by the end of the season, to pay him. And then you get into a point where you're really restricting your salary cap. Now, yes, the cap's going to rise, going to go higher. So I don't know what that means exactly going forward because I don't know how it's going to go up. But I don't know. I'm kind of warming to the idea of keeping him. You can always trade Josh Hart. He doesn't make that much money if you want to move someone there. Same thing with Dante. I think Dante has a very tradable contract. So they could move on from those guys if they wanted to moving forward. But I don't know. I mean, I don't even know what teams would ask, what the Knicks could ask for. When I think about it, I don't know. It's a very interesting situation.
I think it's a lose-lose for the Knicks in this regard. If the Knicks had paid him, then you're sitting with someone that's going to be evaluated based on how much you paid him. So say the Knicks gave him those monies up front. They paid him whatever he asked. We're hearing $20+ million per.
25.
Yeah, and he comes out and he sucks. Now you're stuck with that dude. You literally are. So now the Knicks are now sitting there with him coming into restricted free agency. If he plays great, then you've seen over 2 years that, well, he's earned it. So you might have that player moving forward. Then you could always trade him down the line. I just think that it was a little bit risky to give him that money up front, and God forbid he had a choke, another Heimlich session like he had in the playoffs. Or he becomes erratic, and all of a sudden now you're playing on this stage. He's playing under the fact that he wants to get paid. That's what he's playing. He's incentivized to have a great disciplined season. So I'm not shocked that he's doing this, but he should be doing this all the time. This is this is like what I was saying a couple of years ago about him. I said people are like, oh, Emmanuel Quickley, he should be starting. But I'm like, if he comes in on the bench, why is he still not giving you the same kind of game? Because you're trying to campaign to be a starter in this league. So when you come off the bench, you should be doing everything the starter could do and outshining him. I think he was incentivized a little bit different to come out and play this erratic game. But right now, he's playing the most disciplined basketball and very efficient game. As far as he comes in, he's an automatic bucket. He's taking good shots finally. I don't know. I just think the Knicks probably did the right thing not signing him just because they, early. We don't need the knee jerk like we did with APB. So I think that's a good thing they didn't do that. But they're going to have to pony up, because if you're now going to say moving forward with this cap restriction that you believe that Emmanuel Quickley, Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, and R.J. Barrett is the core of your championship team. That's really what you're telling people. Because it's harder to move after this year coming up. So if you think that dude is worth $23 million or whatever he's trying to go, I would be a little afraid. That's just me. And I like how he's playing too. But I would you're investing in that core. That's your core. I'd be running.
I have to agree with you. I think they did the right thing not signing him.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think that he is a starting caliber point guard or shooting guard. He's Lou Williams, and Lou Williams is great.
Mm-hmm.
Had a great career. I mean, he is a really good six man. And I love how he's playing in a team concept. He's not out there gunning, playing contract year. He's playing within the system. I think that's great. I think what the Knicks have, because the Knicks are big game hunting. They've been talking about big game hunting really for a long time. They have a bunch of tradable contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Quickly, I think might be their best trade asset right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And on the back end of it, if they decide not to sign him, because I've heard that there are people talking that he's pushing himself into $30 million a year territory. And Eric, you were very right. Thank you for saying it's still early.
Yeah.
So both sides of the coin with dude. Let's not pretend we haven't seen that. But even if he does get to free agency and he is in that $30 million year, and we're not going to pay that for a backup, not many teams with $30 million in cap space hanging around that they could freely sign a free agent like that, which brings us into sign and trade possibilities. So, I mean, if Emmanuel Cook is going to make $30 million a year, he's not going to make it here. He's just not going to make it here.
Right.
But,
right. So this changes, right? So this changes the outlook for the rest of the season, because if that's what he's asking for, they have to trade him before the trade deadline, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
They have to trade him before the trade deadline.
I
So,
think they're going to.
yeah. So in that regard, Craig brought him up. Now, the tough thing there is Minnesota's the best team in the West right now. And he is playing fantastic basketball. I've watched a few of their games, and he's actually playing defense, which is shocking, but he is. So those are the things that you're seeing from him. Now, again, I don't know what this comes from. Maybe he was honest when he said he's going to change the game, and now he's trying to make believers of us all. I have no idea. But you kind of see how that could be part of a package if they wanted to go that route. Now, most people say it wouldn't happen till the offseason, so maybe I'm crazy, or maybe they would wait to trade him till the offseason. I don't know. But he's one name that I think you said, Joe said they're big game hunting. We know Leon Rose used to represent him. Ty, you've said many times, Leon Rose, that was his target from the beginning. They wanted to get Towns here. He was the guy he wanted. So it kind of seems like the pieces might be falling into place with contracts and extensions, and you'd want to do it this year too, because next year is when his supermax kicks in, and then it moves up to 52 million for the first year. Yeah, for the first year. So I know when you think of that number, it's crazy, right? You think that in your head, you're like 52 million.
36 to 52.
Yeah. So, but
God.
is this the guy? I mean, I said, I think I first thought it was Embiid, but then I switched to Town. I was going back and forth. Now I'm really in the camp that Towns is going to be the guy the Knicks get. So do you think it could happen this year before the trade deadline?
I don't think so, because I think that GM over there, and I don't even know who the hell the GM is, to tell you the truth. I know he's nuts. I know he's
too bad it's not David Kahn.
Yeah,
David
would have gotten.
He was good for the game of basketball, man. I got some laughs out of that guy. Anyway.
Oh, he was funny. Yeah.
The GM from Minnesota hinged his entire plan on acquiring Gobert and everything he gave up for it, and he was going to join them together with Towns, and he was going to make this work. And he took a lot of arrows last year. Towns went out with a calf injury. The team wasn't looking good. Things weren't going good. And, I mean, he was taking arrows left and right. It's starting to look like it's working.
Yeah, it is.
He's not trading Towns right now. That team performing well is the justification he needs for the move that he made that everybody's beating on him for.
Fair.
So just from a GM he's not going to tear that down unless it burns.
Right.
If it crashes and burns, he's going to have no choice. But if it's working, that is the justification for the moves I made. See, now it's working. See, I'm not an idiot. I don't see them trading Towns this year at all, as long as Minnesota's winning.
I think that will come down to the Towns trade. If it comes down to them trading him, it'll be playoff oriented. I think what they do in the playoffs this year, will mean a lot, because right now it's really Anthony Edwards' team, and Towns paying rent, because that's really what it's going down to. I think they will move on from Cat as long as they can plug someone in that helps Ant-Man become the star, or come, that plays better with him. Because Gobert is basically a utility person. You can put him with anyone. He only wants to block shots and rebound, be a defensive presence. He's not demanding the ball, demanding the rock to score and all that, etc. I mean, we know you can choke the hell out of him, it won't matter no more. So he's really not that dude. Whereas we look at who would be a better fit next to Ant-Man, that's who they're probably going to look down the line if Towns gasses out, or Minnesota say they go into the first round of this year's playoffs and they get mudhole stomped, and now all of a sudden that project looks like, well, what do we need to get us past and over the hump? Because they're having a great regular season, but they've never had a great regular season with Karl Anthony Towns. What there really is having, the team is coming together and they're playing good with Ant-Man and Gobert, and Towns happen to be in there playing very well as also. I don't know. The Knicks, the rumors have always been there that's who that Leon Rose, like Eric said, was targeting. Yeah, I don't think Emmanuel Quickly is going to get that. They already said they don't want.
No, but in a package, right?
Well, Julius is the one they said they don't want. That's what they said.
Really, I'm shocked.
Well,
It's not anywhere in the world.
According to the Hoop Site article that I sent you guys, nobody wants
trade.
Nobody wants
a
it.
trade machine. Randall.
Yeah. Mm.
It'll work in the trading machine and nowhere else in the world.
Oh man.
I just don't know what package. I mean, I look at that. I mean, we're talking $50 million he's going to
Oh.
demand starting next season. So you got to minus. You're minusing some. Well, Randall APB can't be here. So because him and
There might have to be a 3-team type trade, right?
So somebody's
Barrett ain't getting it done either because I mean they have commitments to the shooting guard and the small forward, McDaniels and Ant-Man. They don't need to start there.
I think you could look at a team like the Lakers might be a team that you might get in on some sort of trade aspect because let's face it, that's not going anywhere deep. You know, I mean, you're predicated on thinking that LeBron is still LeBron from Cleveland, and you know, the Browns moved, didn't they? I mean, technically, he ain't no longer in Cleveland either. He's in LA. So I mean, you just look at that dynamic. Maybe you can find something because AD is a question mark. They're gonna have to do something with him. You know,
I mean, he is a question mark, but the problem there is, and I've said this since he got there, is LeBron he says that Davis is the best player on the team, but he doesn't act that way on the court.
Well,
yeah.
Because would a guy like Julius fit with LeBron for the remainder? He was drafted in LA, so you got to start looking at those kind of aspects of bringing in someone who's kind of a stable. I mean, I look at him. It's hard talking about APB that way because it's not like he's not a good dude, that he's not, really productive on the court. He's a solid citizen. I mean, it's like the whole package is there. It's just it's not working here in New York in the key moments. I mean, we beat Charlotte, and I'm like, I'm not getting excited about that. I'm not getting excited about no blowouts against any team that we should be beating, and they're having great performances. I want to see those performances in Milwaukee versus Milwaukee and Boston and the Sixers. We've seen Miami. Miami they did well in, but that's when I want to see what numbers and what poise you show against these kind of teams.
Like the Phoenix game, right? Like the Phoenix game, he wasn't doing squat, and then he had a dominant third quarter, and it was dominant. Like he was really good.
He was dominant. He was on the floor. Period. Point.
Yeah. But I mean, what happened in the first half, right? Like you asked us questions. Yeah.
ABB. You got to put one out on him because you don't know. You have no clue who you're getting and that's the thing. Like playing with a guy like LeBron, who is the alpha mind and an alpha person in there, he would fit nicely next to him. You become just a finisher. You're not a thinker at that point. You're a finisher. Can you play a little bit of the outside wing position? You've proven that you could do pretty decent at it. But I think that's the only way that Karl Anthony Towns becomes a Knick is that you've got multiple teams because there's nobody doing a 1-for-1 exchange because the only person that they would take is Brunson. That's the only thing. That's the only thing they would trade Cat for because our greatest valued player, so to say, is Brunson because he's not on a huge contract. He's on maybe the biggest discount in the NBA right now. So you maybe could package him and get another talent, but now you're stuck with the same situation. You don't have two pieces that are that can play off and maybe get you to a championship level. I don't think Towns is that person, in my opinion. I don't think he's the kind of player that when you bring him here with Brunson, he suddenly catapults us into the finals. But you're exchanging.
No, but his game. The question No, that's what I was going to say. Where you're going? Yeah, his game probably meshes better.
Way better
with somebody like Brunson and Barrett.
And does that open things up for Barrett?
Yeah. I think
for the longest time that you think Julius and Barrett on the floor together hurts Barrett.
They do. It does because they're very similar players.
We can talk about that.
So they need the same spaces on the floor and. Yeah. So the last name I have here is Bones Highland. We'll talk about it really quickly. And there's no rumor talking about him. I just saw that he's been racking up DMPs for the Clippers. He hasn't been playing much. And just again, from what the Knicks need, a guy who can hit outside shots, can hit threes consistently and spread the floor. he would kind of be a good get for them, and he's available, and we know that. So he might be more of an actually an attainable player we can get.
Yeah.
That might not cost that much because he's not playing. They can't say we want a first round pick. I'll be like, screw you, you're not even playing him. What do you mean you want a first round? Like, what are we talking about here? So
that he's a very poor defender.
Yeah, that's one of them. And the other thing is he could be a little bit aloof at times.
Mhm.
But, hopefully if you get him in a structure like this one, because the Knicks are a very structured team. Yes, I know what you're thinking. Thibodeau is going to lose his mind. It could be Cam Reddish all over again, right? Like you could be looking at a Cam Reddish situation again, even though Highland has proven so much more than Reddish has. I just mean from a personality standpoint, it could be similar to that. So, but he's a guy. He's an attainable guy. Hit shots. Still fairly young. I think he's 25 or 26, so he's not that old.
Yeah.
He fits in with the current crop of players that we have. Do you think that's something they would consider? Because you can't just big game hunt. You have to if you can't get those guys, you have to round out the team that you have. And they're not playing Fournier, although he would help from hit outside shots. So
they're not playing Fournier for the same reason they're not going to play Highland.
Yeah, but I don't know. I look at it from a standpoint that Fournier is not only not a great defender, even though he can steal the ball. We've seen that.
Yeah.
But I look at it from a standpoint that he's not a dynamic. Fournier's not a dynamic player. Highland can be. Like Highland hits these big crazy shots, and he has that kind of game.
Mhm.
So you wonder if the trade-off there is like that. Ty, you even brought up bringing up Jacob Toppin to play. So, because you're right, he's been killing it in the G League, though. He has.
Yeah, I saw
You need a
that.
live body, man. You need a live body. It's crazy.
I think these are the type of moves that you make to round out a team to give it what it needs. With Knicks fans, and we're always looking at the big name. We're always looking at, we need to get this. We need right now. We're not there, so we need to build out a team, and you need to fill in the gaps with things you need. They need shooters. In my opinion, they needed them in the offseason. They still need them now. I mean, yes, RJ shooting better from three. That's great. Brunson shooting better from three. That's great. How come they're like fourth from the bottom in scoring? They're 106 points per game. I mean, it's not working. You could say pace if you want. You could say, well, they play at a lower pace. Okay, fine. So that means can they be like middle of the league scoring wise? Like, why is it got to be at the bottom? So I don't know. I just look for these types of players that come up, and I'm like, all right, this is something I would do as GM. I'd explore it at least and say, okay, what do they want? How do we get him here? Can he Joe? That's a great question. Can he fit here? Will he play? Do we need to talk to the coach? Definitely talk to the coach before you get him. Don't do the Cam thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Give up first round picks and then he doesn't play them.
But the coach.
So what do you think? Like Highland, guys like that. What do you guys think? Just looking for guys, a Highland or guys like him.
You want it? Well, I was a Bone Highland fan coming in. I thought they could have drafted him. He does have that kind of wiry game, sort of like how Emmanuel Quickly was when he first came in. Very, very. They have that certain electricity about them when you watch them play. They're big shot takers. He would probably be a fan favorite here coming into the game. I don't think that'd be a hard thing to actually happen. But to your point, these are the moves the Knicks should be trying to make, because this whole idea of big game or no game hunting, look, we're talking about Cat, and what do the first thing we got to bring up is how is he even going to get here? Because the Knicks cannot do a swap that involves anything that's simplistic. It's going to be complicated. Same thing. You can take Embiid off the list. You might could bring Giannis back on the list if this whole AJ Griffin thing don't work out, because I heard something about there might be whatever with them too, even though I think he was the one that okayed the hiring. So this is very entertaining. But you're less likely to get that type. I've always been on board saying the Knicks need to become Billups Pistons more than try to be the big three of any other franchise, because they are missing that type of caliber player, a borderline or consistent all-star.
A
That's
rip.
not a superstar, but can provide you with a high level of play that teams have to account for them when they're on the floor. And that's what the Knicks need to find somebody like that. But being that there's not a ton of those guys available, clearly, you got to improve the depth of your team to solidify what you're weak at, around the fringes. And that's part of the issue. The Knicks do lack shooting. Highland can do that. If you're not going to play, you got a lot of guards that are undersized. You need to clear that up a little bit because come playoff time, when those trees start to grow in the lane, this team is going to collapse because it's not going to work when you can't get your shot off in the paint. You saw RJ. You saw Julius routinely against lengthy teams get blocked. They get blocked because they don't have the kind of burst that's going to rise up over the trees and dunk and finish in the lane. It's not going to happen. I mean, Dante Inferno, he blows layups on fast breaks. I mean, I love the dude, but man, the rumor that they said about him was fat.
And he is a good athlete too. He can jump.
He can jump out the gym, but he's going to miss that shot when he goes up, which is the most baffling. It's Ramon Shumpert all over again.
Yeah, it is Shumpert. Yep.
You watch Ramon jump, and you're like, oh man, it's like, it's not just that ball's coming out. It's not going to go in the rim. It's just he's terrible around the rim. So the Knicks need more. That's what the Jacob Toppin thing came up was. I was like, I told Eric, I said, we need someone who plays above the rim. And I'm just saying, even with energy, it's above the rim with energy is what I should say. We don't have that on the Knicks. We have Mitchell Robinson, who's probably going to be a defensive player of the year because why would he not be? Because he's got to do every damn thing. He's got to rebound. He's got to box out. He's got to block a shot. He's the hardest working man in showbiz next to James Brown right now. So when you watch him,
he's dead.
Yeah, and Mitchell will use him at this rate because it's not good. So we look at when these kind of guys like Highland's an energy dude. He's an energy dude. He's going to come to the game and bring something to the table. The Knicks are too short. That's why I'm not buying this team. You got to get some more height, and you need to improve the energy level on your team because you have players that go into lulls like APB, where the whole mood kind of changes when he's not into it. The one thing you can see is when Obi came into the game, everybody's like, "Oh, Obi's in the game," and that's true.
I missed that
game. So the fan energy went up, the players' energy. You get a little bit with Emmanuel when he gets hot, like you see the team like get behind him and say, "Oh, here we go. He got the energy. He's gonna bring it. He's got that thing going," and they rally behind him. The Knicks are probably not getting albeit Towns is going into the next year and maybe he is available. But I'm of the mindset that none of these guys are available. That we're not getting any of these guys. And the Knicks should be thinking that way also and building out the best team they can build out until maybe a star is truly disgruntled and you have great assets to trade for that guy. So there are more in the OG Anunoby list than they are in the Karl Anthony Towns list. Because you're probably going to end up with an OG type, or if you're waiting for Donovan Mitchell, which I don't think moves the needle enough, if you're trying to keep some of the pieces we got. Like, it's a lot of redundancy even in his game. He's not the greatest off-ball player. He needs to rock a lot. So
the OG move might be the best move, though.
Who's that?
This team, if they keep this coach and this team together, right? The OG move might be the best move.
It is.
Out of all the ones they're talking about. Like, legitimately might be the best move out of all the ones they're talking about.
And we can't
like it better than Donovan Mitchell. I like it better than Towns. And Embiid was a pipe dream. That was never going to happen. No way. So when you look at even the two people that they're mentioning as possibilities, I like Anunoby on this team better than either one of them.
He's a better fit.
Me.
But we're suing them, so we can't get him.
Well, he's going to be unrestricted. If he takes away his option, he's going to be unrestricted.
Actually, he's coming in a free agency, to be very honest. Yeah. I mean, we can't trade for him in season, which is what they look like. They're trying to make a move now to probably come off of some of these things. Like, Eric knows, my thing was always saying, if we were not suing the Toronto Raptors, it would be Emmanuel quickly for OG Anunoby. because he feels a purpose and a need. And then you would have Dante just be the backup point guard to Jalen Brunson and figure it out after that. Because he would fit a need because he's either going to send RJ to either the 2 spot. I like RJ the small forward perfectly.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that would be the interchangeable person. And it shores up your defense. You're not lacking. If Mitchell Robinson is your center and OG Anunoby is your wing, you got a Tom Thibodeau type team. That's what he wants. He wants those kind of
lot of defenders. Yeah.
And Brunson.
The other
Grimes.
Yep.
Yeah. The other guy, real quick, the other guy I saw mentioned was Luke Kennard from Memphis.
Yeah.
He's out there. Yeah, a shooter, offensive player. Like you guys are right in your mindset saying these are Thibodeau type players. The Knicks need to pick a non-Thibodeau type player. They need to get a guy here who can score points. That's what they need to do. We have a team of Thibodeau players. One guy who's not like a Thibodeau player is fine. We need someone who can hit jump shots consistently and score points.
So who's going to be available that can do that?
The type of guys I'm mentioning: Kennard, Highland, Bogdanovich. Those guys. Those are the type of guys you're going to be looking at
a level of impact that greater than what Anunoby would give you.
Well, he gives it it's a different way that they play. They would obviously are not going to be the defensive players. Maybe Bogdanovich would be not that far a drop off, but a guy like Kennard is going to be able to stretch the defense. And so if you score a little more and you give up a little bit less on defense, you give a little more on defense. I think that's a trade off. The Knicks defensively are 4th in the NBA. I think they're 4th in points allowed or something like that. But like I said, they're 4th from the bottom in scoring.
Yeah.
So your point, the way I look at it is we need to get more points. The defense will be fine because you still have Robinson, you still have Quickly, you still have Hart, you have Dante's a good defensive. They have good defensive players. They're lacking forward.
Anunoby can score. He can shoot the 3. He can put the ball in the hole better than Kennard can. I mean, he's a more effective scorer than Kennard is.
No, that's fine. I'm not against getting him, but I don't think he's available. That's the point. I'm not against getting him.
Free agency is the only way you're going to get him, right? At this point, you're going to have to wait a off season to get him and just sign him outright. Which I don't know if the Knicks will even have the cap space.
They won't be able to have the cap space. But again, I think Toronto's going to be backed into a corner on it. And if you offer them the best offer for a sign and trade, they're going to take it. He's not.
Hold on, there was someone.
Massa's not a fool.
I mean, Gordon Hayward's name was put out there.
That's one of the ones I heard about too. Gordon Hayward. That he might be a buyout candidate. Actually,
he could still play too.
Yeah,
he's the kind of tough guy that you would want on the Knicks because he does offer those things. He can play defense. He's not the same player he once was, but he can still give you those moments because you're not asking him to come in and be, the source of your offense completely. You're asking him to become a byproduct of your system. So, you would have a guy at that position, at the wing position or whatever you want to put him at the 2 or wing or whatever you want to put him. He's a complete upgrade from Grimes. See, that's what I'm looking for. Like, if the Knicks can insert a complete upgrade from Grimes and then do whatever you want to do with Grimes, put him on the bench, whatever. If your starting 5 is a kick-ass starting 5, you're causing a lot of problems. And you got, and also, let's give the preference, a smart player. We don't even know what dummies on this damn floor. That's for damn sure. But somebody like Hayward would be a nice, solid pickup, like a Bogdanovich would be. And Hayward's, I think, younger, I believe, also.
Yeah,
they're the same age. I think they're the same age.
Wow, really?
He's played out of the 3, right? Would he be? If you were sticking him in the 2, do you think he's quick enough to cover 2 guards in this league?
I think he's a 3. I think RJ would be moved, and RJ's proven to play better defense this year. So I think RJ goes to the 2, and Hayward goes to the wing.
Yeah, Hayward's a 3.
Yeah,
he's still well around the game. He does a lot of different things.
He's talented. I always liked him when he was in Utah. Then the injury happened clearly.
He would be a more in control version of what they try to make Randall. Like he can be. Hayward can run an offense. Like he can play that point forward type position where he's not going to spin in the lane or jump in the air and throw a pass or those kinds of things that we see Randall do. He's not going to do that. Yes, he's not. He's not. Yeah, he's not going to do
water out my nose on that.
So those. But I mean, the Hoops Life article had a ton of guys mentioned. I mean, a lot of these guys would help. They even mentioned Colin Sexton.
I like Colin Sexton.
They mentioned him. They mentioned Davion Mitchell in Sacramento. They mentioned Kira Lewis. Our old friend Jeremy Grant, who everyone seems to want at certain points.
If they can get Davion Mitchell, that'd be a hell of a pickup. Because
I remember asking you, Ty, about him a couple of years ago. Like, what about him? We should bring this guy in. They're not using him.
He's a Thibodeau player.
He's a flat out great, very good defender.
Yeah, and a good athlete, very good athlete. Like he would give us that athlete that we don't have. He would bring that. He's that type of guy.
I like that idea of him coming here.
His nickname is Off Night. It's because everybody plays Off Night. That's his nickname. So imagine the defense that you can actually put him next to Brunson, and he's undersized, and would still give somebody the damn. As opposed to what? See, you gotta upgrade the starting five with a smarter piece that does not do what the other guys do.
Right.
You want Grimes to be that, but Grimes, like I said, he's not a sniper. So therefore, and he's not aggressive. Maybe he could be a better scorer, but we don't know because he's playing team ball. He's completely sewn into the team mindset. So, but though Hayward, Bogdanovich, Colin Sexton, very tough. He's a gritty dude. That's a gritty player. If he was you can almost get rid of quickly if you had him because he's kind of a replication of what he does too.
He seems to have come back from that knee injury pretty well too.
Yeah. He's been the difference maker. Yeah. When I was in a game in Utah, I've seen a couple of Utah games. That dude still can get at it. So
the more I think about Davion, though, I like that. I mean, you can get him probably. Sacramento isn't doing anything with him.
Mm-hmm.
No, they actually moved someone. They moved another guy. I don't remember his name, but they moved.
Duarte's in the starting lineup now. Duarte's starting. I watched the game a little bit.
Malik Monk is getting minutes.
Did I like Duarte?
I thought he. But see,
I thought he was going to wind up in the Obi trade. I thought we were.
Well, that's what should have been the trade. They both didn't want either. We didn't want Obi, and they didn't want Duarte. So you would have had your wing type.
Yeah,
sure. Imagine that. Instead of we got two little Snicker bar and Skittles. And we're looking at these trades now, like Bogdanovich and trying to get him. If you kept Obi, that'd have been incentive, so you wouldn't have to go and go out and pick. You threw in one of your better players because you don't plan on keeping him anyway. It would have behooved them to hold on to Obi for these kind of trades. The same thing when Drew Holiday came up. You think that they wouldn't have took Obi and a couple of picks up in Portland?
They got a lot for Drew. I'm shocked with how much they got for Drew. I mean, even with Obi in that package, we would have had to give a lot for Drew Holiday. Yeah.
Well, he would have been a good pickup for us. That's what I'm sure.
Oh, he would have been great. He would have been perfect. But
you do that.
I mean, a lot more than I thought they were getting for him. I think they got more for him than they did when they acquired him.
Well, that's because the landscape has changed now. Like I said, that Gobert trade changed everything.
Yeah,
changed everything.
It must
the Gobert trade and then the DeJounte Murray trade. Those two trades changed everything.
Absolutely.
They changed asking. Yeah.
Have you noticed DeJounte Murray stinking it up? I mean, have you noticed that this year so far?
Yeah, he's going to stink it up anyway because you know what? That was the worst trade, in my opinion, to pair those two.
It's a weird pairing. Yeah.
I never understood why they went so far out of their way. And DeJounte would have been great in New York.
Yeah.
That would have been the kind of trade
in
New York. Like, you brought him in, and then the question could be whether or not you're playing him. You could probably play him and Brunson together because he could have been the point guy, and Brunson could have played off ball. because Brunson clearly, I mean, Eric knows. I told him earlier today.
Well, can defend too. Well,
Brunson is just a miniature Melo. That's all he is. He's a miniature Carmelo Anthony. He's just that kind of dynamic ISO scorer. But you could have brought DeJounte Murray in here and played him on point. Mm-hmm. He's a linky guy too. That dude looks like he's like 7 foot tall, and he's not even 7 feet tall. It's like he's just all arms.
And he played for Pop, right? So right then and there, you know, those are kind. I'll take anyone who played for that man. You want to send over here who played for Greg Popovich? Send him over here. I will. Yeah.
You know that he's playing right.
I have to ask you guys, what did you think about Pop chastising the fans over booing?
That's very
it's him, man. It's him. It's just what he does now.
It was a weirdo move in this sense. I'm like,
I love that guy.
You're asking fans to not boo. I mean, I've never seen that before in my whole entire.
No,
it's a movie thing. Literally, it was like straight out of a movie, like watching like Hoosiers, and he gets on the mic. Hey, if you don't want to be here, like it's some Gene Hackman.
I understand the sentiment, though. He won a title for them.
Yeah. That's basically what he was saying. Like,
remember that whole parade you guys had and the raising of the trophy, and he was a big part of that. So maybe give the guys some respect.
But I mean, but it's the way he left, right? That's why they're booing. It's the way he got himself out of there. And because remember, he was blaming it on them, saying that he was healthy to play. And they were saying, no, you can't play. You're not healthy to play. Right.
Yeah. No, I don't know, man. Kawhi Leonard in his prime won a ring in New York and then decided to go wherever the hell.
Okay.
I'd cheer for him forever.
That is a totally different thing for this reason. The Spurs have won championships. He just added another one. Like I said before, we haven't won one.
Yes. I'm the birth of
in 50 years.
I'm the birth of the streak. That streak. No, so, I think Pop was being a little too over it. I love Pop. There's no big dislike of him. It's just more so they have every right to boo Kawhi Leonard. Because Kawhi Leonard, literally, whether he wants to say it or not, he quit on the Spurs.
He did.
He went in hiding. Never came out. If he vocalized, "Hey, I'm healthy," he went whole diva.
He did.
San Antonio, and there's a lot. The fans are not dumb. They knew what he was doing, and they're like, "I don't care about your title." Tim Duncan bought, and Tony Parker bought titles here also. You think they would have booed Tim Duncan if he came there? Absolutely not. If he was on another team, think they'd boo Tony Parker? I'm on the show when he played in Charlotte. He came in, they probably gave him an ovation. Kawhi earned that boot.
Manu too. Yeah, they would.
Manu. If they played on other teams, they get serenaded probably with love. And the same thing, even New York Knicks fans. They find a time because I'm on the show. You'll see a time where KP will get towards the end of his career ovation when he decides to hang it up. Because it's the respect level that, okay, we forgive you. But there's some unforgivable things. Like, I don't think Isaiah Thomas is going to get an ovation. He needs to be reeled out, and Dolan can't get on this like, oh, look what he did for us. Nobody cares about that. Because you were a prick, literally. And Kawhi was a prick. Kawhi's been a prick for a while. He was a prick in Toronto, too. Just keep it real.
Dude. Whatever. They let him do it, so it's whatever. But the dude sits out playoff games. Like, who does that? How do you say I need a rest in game 3 of the Western Conference semifinals? Like, I need a rest. I can't play.
After you've rested all year.
What is that? He's a different guy.
He's different.
Different dude.
If he came to New York, sometimes that's what I would tell people about New York. Guys avoid here. They was with the media. No, you can't do your crap here. That's really why you avoid coming here. Because if you're a basketball purist, if you're a person that loves basketball, and I'm not trying to just be New York biased, but there's no other than maybe Indiana itself where the game was invented. I mean, what people want to call it, the game was invented. It was invented in Canada. But my point is that that's their sport. in Indiana. Same with New York. You can't tell me you love basketball and you say, I don't want to come play in New York. Well, I don't want to play in, Indiana. Those they live and eat and breathe all that stuff. So that's my point. It's like, come on. You didn't want to come here because you don't have the pressure of people knowing your business. It's not about basketball.
Yeah. No, you're right. And that's always going to be a thing now. Ever since the league became more global and you didn't need New York for marketing, it's changed the way guys look at coming here. And that's why you only have certain guys like Carmelo who accepted it. And I mean, Amari reluctantly, probably because no one else was going to pay him that money. But again, he came here and he flourished. Brunson, another one. I give Randall credit. I mean, he could have gone anywhere. He was a free agent and he came here. So I mean, he's there's been love hate. We thumbs down. We're not gonna forget the thumbs down. Like we will remember we're gonna remember that. But it's been playing here is tough. It is. It's a very strong basketball town. When the Knicks are good, it's a basketball town. So it's a tough place to play. And Kawhi, like we said, Kawhi is just weird, man. That's just weird. But I wouldn't have booed him. I'll say that I wouldn't. But again, if Randall wins the Knicks a championship, if they somehow put some run together and he was great in the playoffs and they won, I would take back everything I said about him. You're the best player we've ever had.
You'll never have to worry about doing that, Eric. Don't worry.
You get the Junius tattoo on the upper arm.
Yes, I'll get it. I'll get a tat. Oh,
look, only on Earth 3 would that ever happen, because Earth 1, it is. All right, never.
Somewhere in the multiverse. Somewhere in the
multiverse. Somewhere Doctor Strange and turn into whatever. I'm just trying to tell you. That ain't happening, brother.
We can hope. But I agree with you. It's not happening. I'm not stupid. All right. Let's wrap this one up, Joe. Tell them when to come.
Okay. You can find me at Upstate Joe, AKU, all Knicked Up, fan page. That's long and short of it. Yeah. I am on the social medias.
He's on the grid.
It's a fun place. Not really, but it's a fun place. All right. Ty, you're up.
Hit me up at Genius Scribble. That's on the next gonna give it to you. Also, check me out check us all out. I shouldn't say me, out on our All Knicked Up fan page on Facebook. I try to do the game recaps. People seem to like them, so I'm going to continue to do those as much as I can. You guys got any ideas or things you want to discuss? I would say about bringing someone on. Who wants to come on with us one day? That's what I want to see. Don't hide behind. Don't be all thumbs on the keyboard. Lend us your voice. Lend us your image. Come on and get this smoke from all of us, because I know y'all got y'all opinions out there. We'd love to hear them.
Let's recruit John to come on and give us his thoughts on Quickly.
Well, now he probably been saying good things about him because he's playing well again. So I actually asked him that not too long ago about Quickly and he was like, he kind of softened up love for him. So I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see how it's going now, going forward. You guys know where you can find me. You see all my information there. At Finally33 is my personal Twitter account. At all_Knicked_up is the show account, as Ty and Joe both mentioned. The All Knicked Up fan page on Facebook. Want to kind of increase the traffic there. You want to get more people there coming through, listening. I forwarded the show there. The show is actually on the show page, the business show page, but I forwarded the link to the group so you guys can watch the show in the group as well. If you're, like I say every week, if you're interested in pop culture, comic book movies, superhero stuff, I do a show called Straight Outta Gotham. It's at @straight_O_G on Twitter. We record every week. Usually, we took last week off for Thanksgiving, but we're going to be recording again this week. A lot of news going on in that world as well. You want to hear about the fall of Marvel, the MCU, and all that stuff? We talk about all of that on Straight Outta Gotham. So check me and my co-host Pete Vera out over there. And I think that's it. We will be back next week. The Knicks will have played. They will have played their game,
Yeah.
right? Their tournament game.
Milwaukee.
Yep.
Milwaukee's on Monday, I think it is.
Tuesday.
Oh, it's Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Okay.
So yeah, it'll be fresh in our minds because it'll be one day before. So let's hope that they win, and who knows, maybe they can win the NBA Cup, guys. We'll get a championship, and Ty can take his hand off his face and smile, and we all can wear our Knicks gear proudly. What do you think? Okay.
They're going to win the cup and they're going to pass it around like all the Irish bars on 2nd Avenue, and it's going to be like the fans drinking
World
that
Cup.
Stanley Cup. They'll be putting Guinness in it.
I hope so. 'Cause we need something to celebrate, so that'd be fine. New York is starving for a championship. We haven't had one since the Giants, right? Yeah. So we are starving for a title.
Was it the Giants or the
Been that
Yankees? Was it the Giants?
Was
or
the
the
Giants 2011? I think the Giants won in 2011. I think
Wow.
it's the last title that we won as a state
They won
or as a region.
2011, I think.
2011. Yep. So it's been a while. It's been 12 years. It's a long time.
Yeah.
So even the NBA Cup will do.
Well, take it.
All right. So for Ty and Joe, I'm Eric. You are watching All Nicked Up. We will see you next week.